There's that moment when you finally feel safe enough to stop hiding. But safe isn't the goal, it's just simply the launch pad. Let's take a look at that today. Hi, my name is Steve Kidd. I am a third generation minister, international best-selling author of 39 books and counting. I've had the amazingly wonderful privilege of helping folks write, publish, market their books to bestseller, and all the stuff that goes beyond that. Worked with nearly 5,000 people in that realm now. And what I'm really here to do for you today, though, is I really want to help you by helping you architect your visibility. And that starts by you really truly getting clear, by you being clear at who you are, what you're meant to do, how you're meant to do that in the world, and how you can serve the people in this world that only you can, because you are uniquely, wonderfully, powerfully brilliant. You were created for a purpose. The world, oh my goodness, the world so needs you. We need you to be the best you that you can be in this amazing day that we call today. I love it when we get to be able to maximize today, because there is nothing quite like being able to just simply take whatever was in the past, and some of it was good and some of it was bad, and be able to really powerfully move into the future. We've invited a couple of my close personal friends and other people that work with me here to the show today, and now you and I can just sit back, we can relax, and we can talk about what would it feel like to be safe enough to speak and be brave enough to be seen. Those seem like they are the same thing, and yet they can be vastly, vastly different. You have the bravery. Absolutely, sure you do. You could do it. You could step out and be the voice, say the thing, do the thing. But do you feel safe doing it? When we talk, are we talking about the things that really make the difference? Are we willing to be vulnerable and valuable in what we say? Or are we saying what is safe? Are we saying what we feel, quote unquote, okay to say? Right? Those are just two completely, vastly different situations, because, and some of you, and I see you, okay? And I apologize for exposing this out into the entire world, but I see what's going on for you. You're getting it done. You're making a difference. You're impacting lives, and you're doing it inside of this really safe little bubble. You don't say the things that really you're passionate about. We talked about that yesterday. That thing that just you keep talking about. You say it so often that your kids roll their eyes at, when you say it, right? We stay away from all those kind of things. Maybe you really are. And I'm not enough into politics that I'm going to rail about politics, but I know some people, it is massively important to them. Okay. I mean, like, they know all the little ins and outs, and whatever side of the fence they're on, they have the 100% arguments for why their team is right and the other team is just completely bonkers, cuckoo, crazy, doesn't know what all the heck they're talking about. Right? And we all have friends, or maybe you're even that person who's really into that. Same thing is true when you talk, like, say, for example, sports. And if you're into sports, whatever sport that might be, or multiple sports, you have the teams that you're really for and the teams you really hate. Now, what really is, okay, and I realize some of you are going to get really on my case right now for just a second, but I promise I'll make it up to you. What really is the difference between your favorite sports team and the team you hate? I mean, really, what's going on there? Okay, like, does the other, that team that you really hate, are they like filled with an entire roster of, psycho murderers that between games they're out like raping, pillaging, and plundering? Okay. Or did they happen to just be a team that was in a city that you don't like? Or do you not like the city because the team was there? Or did they beat your favorite team and so therefore now you can't like them? Right? Are you still mad from from February, early February? Yeah. Okay, yeah. I had to think for a minute when the Super Bowl was this year. See, that tells you just how massively into sports I am. Are you still mad from way back in February because Kansas City didn't win their third Super Bowl in a row? Or are you ticked off that Kansas City even made it the third time into their Super Bowl because you hate Kansas City? See what I'm saying? I mean, and we're passionate about these kind of things. Okay. But, and the list could go on. You can get into religion, child raising, all kinds of different things, and whatever that particular thing is for you. Okay. And your friends, they know you're really passionate about it. But then when you go live like I'm doing right now, or you're up on stage, are you passionately putting not just words that kind of, tiptoe around it, but that specific thing? The people who closely know you, they know that's your thing. Okay. Are you brave enough to do like we talked about yesterday and drill down into it? Why is that important to me? What is behind even that? How can I then take the words from that and really have them show up? And then how do those words and phrases that are constantly coming out of my mouth, how do they serve that person that I'm meant to serve? I did an interview several years ago now with Don Crowther, an amazing marketing expert. And Don brought up a really great point. He was talking about how he happens to live in Minnesota. He's like, if I'm a Vikings fan and you're a Cowboys fan, for those of you who are not massively into football, they're in the same conference. They're competitors, okay? Like one of them's going to win the title and the other one isn't, okay? Right? I think that's true. I might even be wrong about that. Somebody's going to be like, you don't know what you're talking about. But typically speaking, people who are really into the Vikings really are not into the Cowboys. And people who are really into the Cowboys are really not into the Vikings. From my life, and this may go back sooner than this, but from my lifespan, that boils back when Fran Tarkington was the quarterback of the Vikings, and Roger Staubach was the quarterback of the Cowboys, and you basically had for almost the whole 10 years of the 70s, you had the Vikings and the Steelers and the Cowboys, and one of them was going to win the Super Bowl. And I'm super oversimplifying it, okay? Because anything more than that I say, I would say, I would just show how much I don't know and how I don't have any of those statistics memorized. Maybe it doesn't go back to that. I don't know, okay? Because like I said, that's not my thing, but But what Don was saying was, I'm a Vikings fan and you're a Cowboys fan. The sooner I can tell you that I'm a Vikings fan, the better. Because as soon as you find out I'm a Vikings fan, we're going to have a disconnect. And if what I'm selling is Vikings memorabilia, you want to know right up front that I'm selling Vikings memorabilia and that I'm going to talk trash about the Cowboys all the time. Don's words, not mine, okay? So don't anybody send me any hate mail, all right? He said, the best thing a person can do is opt out. So when we're not drilling down on that, and it may seem superfluous to you, it's like, the fact that I'm really massively into, and I just happen to be using football because it's one I do enjoy watching. I don't know that I'm a super fan for it, but, I can at least say a few things and not sound completely ignorant, like I would if I was like, say, for example, talking about soccer, which I couldn't explain to you at all. Or my favorite one, professional cornhole. Okay, I don't know why, but I was walking by the other day and my brother was watching the professional cornhole league on, and I'm just like, man, you have something in your life. I don't know what that is, but when you're watching professional cornhole. Anyway, okay, because somebody's going to send me hate mail on the, man, professional cornhole is the best sport in the world, right? Okay, whatever. All right. Whatever your thing is, okay? And you could go the other way with it. And you could say, well, Steve, I mean, obviously your thing is, people who sit around all day and watch sports and memorize things, and what a waste of life that is. Guilty. Okay. You see how I just took the things that I'm passionate, that are the heart and soul and core and real of me, and I just put them out there. I'm just vulnerable and valuable. And if those are things that completely offend you or are the absolute opposite of who you are and how you show up in the world, maybe we're not a good fit. I mean, we could be, because in the case of helping you find your clarity, it makes never mind. I don't give two hoots whether you're into the thing I'm into or not. I want to help you bring out the best version of you. But when you're then selling a product that has people that it's for and people that it's definitely not for, and the clearer we can get about that, the better we're going to do at selling. When you have a product like that, which we all should have, which should be what our product is, then we want to let the people who it's not for, we want to let them know early, often, and late is what we used to say in sales. We want to let them know right up front. Attention, all of you people who don't like this thing, I'm getting ready to talk about something that you absolutely hate. I do that. I think it started out unintentionally, or maybe it started out really intentionally, and now it feels unintentional because I've said it so many times. But I start off with, I'm a third-generation minister, international best-selling author. Okay, I tell you right up front, hey, this dude spent a lot of time in church, and a Bible verse, whether stated, that's found in blah, 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 blah. I'm really not that person, okay? But I may use a Bible principle. I may say a Bible verse. I may even say, it says in the Bible, blah, 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 okay? Or like Jesus taught us, okay? Those things, if you've watched enough of my lives, you've seen me come up with those kind of things. And that's totally okay. Okay for you and okay for me. And I identify that right front. So if you're a person, I'm being careful with my words here, could you tell, who thinks everybody that believes in Christianity is absolutely, completely batty, nutty, crazy. I had a guy one time, I was in the midst of contract negotiation with him wanting to have me do a book with him. And at the time, it was when I was feeling very strongly led to move from California. And honestly, at the beginning part of that, I wasn't really totally sure where I was going. I had an invitation to come here to Kansas and check out this house, and maybe that was going to be what it is, and maybe not. I knew that because I was on the extreme West Coast. I was about 20 minutes from being inside of the Pacific Ocean. So I couldn't really go much further west, the age-old go west young man. So, when God said go east, that made a lot of sense, right? But I didn't know. I could have ended up in Kansas. I could have ended up further, and I may still be led to go further on. Willie J lives in St. Louis, in that basic area. And maybe someday, maybe I need to be over there closer to him. I'd love to be back. I'd love to actually have a situation where I have a view of the ocean. I don't have to necessarily be on, but I want to be able to see ocean waves crash. I'd like to look out the window right here, right now, where I see the trees and stuff. I'd like to be able to see, the ocean and the beach. That's me. That's my happy place. But, anyway, I was saying that I easily distract myself too. So that's fine, whatever. And the guy said, there's no way I could possibly ever work with you. Somebody who believes in, in rolling the bones to find out what some invisible creature is telling them to do, or however he said it. I don't even remember it. It went, water off a duck's back, because I knew I was doing the right thing and I was just being totally upfront about it. And if we weren't going to gel, and if he felt like I was cuckoo crazy because, I was saying very specifically I'm feeling very led to move from California, and all I know positively is that I'm going east. And I was just putting it out on Front Street. In posts I was doing, I did a couple of lives. Wasn't as consistent as I am now, but I was just talking about that. That was a total turnoff for him. We probably would have ended up in a place where we wouldn't have really gelled well together as two people working together. So why not find that out early? Have you ever worked with that person who you believe completely opposite things? You're just night and day in difference in the things that you believe are true and the things that they believe are true. It doesn't make either of you wrong, but it makes it really hard to come up with a agree. I'll use Gordon Ramsay's word. I'm still not sure if this word exists, but an agreeance. I love it when he says, "Are we in agreeance?" I'm like, I don't know. Can we be in agreeance? What does that exactly mean? What word is that? Is it some kind of weird English word? Like British word? But anyway, so we let the people know that. Now we come back around to where I started, and that's that whole thing about being brave enough to be seen, but safe enough to speak. And see, a lot of you have that bravery. You're posting. You may even be going live. But what are you saying? Are you staying back inside of your little bubble? It's okay to say these things. It's not okay to say those things. Or are you just being you? Just putting it all out there. And sometimes that offends people, and you're not doing it to offend people. Unless for some reason your personal way you show up in the world is on purpose to offend people. I've met a few people like that. I'm not saying that's necessarily what I would encourage you to do, but, let's face it. Some people are into that kind of thing. Okay. Judgment-free zone here. So, even in that particular case. All right. Okay. Better to let us know that up front. If your whole YouTube channel, just for example, was about saying things to offend people. And if you think about some comedians that have been very, very, take Don Rickles as, and there's the Lisa Lampanelli, who is kind of like filled the gap where he left, when he passed. His whole comedy routine was about insulting people. If you've ever seen comedy roasts, they're all about talking trash about the person that they're quote unquote honoring. To me, it never really feels totally honoring. I don't know that I really want to be roasted for an hour and have people talk about every faux pas I've made in my life and make fun of them. It's good that they can laugh at them. I think they're funny to watch, but I don't know that I'd really want to sign up for that. I feel that same way about most reality shows. I like watching them, but I wouldn't want to be on one. I wouldn't want Gordon Ramsay yelling at me. I love watching Gordon Ramsay yell at other people. I don't want to sign up to have him do that to me. John Taffer, I don't even drink. I other than when the band was singing in bars and we weren't drinking then either, I don't really hang out in bars, but I love the TV show Bar Rescue. I know, I'm a weirdo. Okay. You're getting a little bit of insight in me as we talk about this too. But I wouldn't want to have him come and help me with my company. I would crumble under that style. Too sensitive, too whatever. Not saying he's wrong, no judgment. Just I know me well enough to know that level of harshness wouldn't work well for where I am currently in life. And that could be totally on me. That could be, hey, you should get to a place where you can really handle that and do that. Might be good for me. It really might. Okay. The same thing becomes true when we really talk about being safe enough to speak. When we get to a place where we're, number one, in a community, we've talked to you about the Visibility Amplifier community and how we've created a safe space for you to practice saying those things that previously you left out of your talks, you weren't posting about, you weren't saying. because you didn't feel safe. We've created that for you. And yeah, you may be adamant about something that, as far as for like you and I both being speakers on the same stage, that might not be a good match. That doesn't make either of us wrong. That doesn't mean that I don't want to massively encourage you to be the best version of you that you can be. That doesn't mean that there's not a place for you in our community, because there absolutely is. I believe that us all to be as good people or better people, whatever word you want to use in there, has to do with more discussion, not less, especially about the things that we completely disagree on. Not so that we can come to Gordon Ramsay's agreeance, but because then we can come to an understanding. We can come to a place where we can completely disagree, but respect and admire each other. And possibly, and it happens more often than you think, when we're really willing to listen, we learn some stuff, even from people who have completely opposing worldviews to us. They have some things. Everybody's good for something. I mean, yeah, maybe it is the person that's just so bad at something that they're good for being an example of what not to be, but they're good still. And it's that kind of safe enough to speak that I'm talking about. Are you not just brave enough to just get up on stage and start talking about all the safe things, all the things that, nobody's going to get on your case if you use that? I'm really talking with my hands today. Holy cow, I'm all over the place. Must be feeling safe enough to speak, right? I mean, I talk with my hands when the other person is driving and they can't see me doing hand motions at all. I sometimes even talk with my hands when I'm the one driving, which is kind of dangerous. I'm just admitting it, okay? So if you see me driving down the road, watch out. I might be talking with my hands. And that's okay too. I promise I won't do it to the exclusion of safe driving. Can you take the whole challenge of stuff that we did yesterday, of identifying what you're really passionate about and drilling down on that until you come to what the purpose for that is and how you can use that to serve the people that you're meant to serve? When you do that whole process, can you then say the thing that is really the thing you're passionate about? Are you safe enough to speak the thing that you really need to say? Not to speak the easy, safe stuff. Anybody, I think all of us, for the most part, there's a few examples that immediately rush through my head. All of us are safe enough to say the safe stuff. It's the things that we disagree on that we don't feel safe enough saying. And those are the things that somebody's waiting on you to say. Somebody needs you to be the one to step up to the plate and say, hey, this is, or even this is from my opinion. Either way. Okay, I'm not sitting here today to try to be your arbiter of truth and to tell you this is how I believe things are, therefore you must believe it that way. I'm here to help you find your clarity and live in your clarity to be the person that you were created to be. Yes, even if you don't believe you were created, I'm still here to help you be the person you were created to be. And I'm not going to stop saying that you were created to be that person. And if that offends you to the level where you wouldn't want to hear that, then again, going back to what Don said, it's a great way for you to know who I am and me to know who you are, and us to opt to not be that closely aligned. Doesn't mean I can't wish the best for you. I hope it also means that you could wish the best for me. And it's okay if you can't. Sometimes we can come to a place where we can agree to disagree, and sometimes we just have to walk away. Both of those are healthy. And that's all right. Then we get back around to being brave enough to be seen. Because now we're brave enough to be seen as our real selves. We find that safety that never really had to do with, hiding behind a shield or under the blankies and someplace where nobody's going to attack us. People are going to disagree with you. That's not real safety. Okay, never saying things to get people to disagree with you, or never saying anything at all, or only saying only saying the things that people will agree with you on, that's not actually safety. That's just another version of hiding. At some point, you need to step into what real safety is, because real safety is in actually saying the thing. The very thing that you were told not to say, once you start speaking it, you actually will have a greater level of safety than you had all the time you didn't say it. Great minds think alike, small minds seldom differ. Boy, we could spend an entire episode just talking about that. Because our differences is what makes it good. Sometimes they differ to the point where it's best for us to not be on the same stage, to not be coworkers. And that's not to say that there aren't some things that I adamantly, strongly believe that they're just completely wrong, okay? I'm not talking about you getting into some mushy world where everything's totally okay. I mean, back in I forget if it was the late 70s or the early 80s, there was a book called I'm Okay, You're Okay. And it was all about just, no matter what, everybody's okay and it's all right. And, there's never anything wrong. Everybody's just, doing their thing. Some of you remember the 70s. Some of you weren't even born in the 70s. Okay. It was kind of the backlash of the hippie movement, where it got to the place where it just became extreme. It's okay for you to not like the things that you don't like. It's okay for you to like the things that you do like. And when we really just are okay being us, that's the real safety. And then the real bravery comes in, because we can step up and be brave enough to be seen for who we really are, and not the who that somebody else told us we needed to be in order to be okay, in order to be right, in order to not be wrong. All that stuff's a bunch of BS. Just be you. The world needs exactly who you are. Not your version of Oprah, not your version of who your mom told you to be, not your version of Mahatma Gandhi. Okay? Just you. The 100% fully, clearly, completely, totally, absolute, just you. I said all those definitive statements and I ended it with just you, which may have just kind of dismissed everything else I said before it. Just being, all finicky and editorially, grammarly editorial for a second. And that's okay too. I'm a goofball. If you've watched enough of my lives, 99% of what comes out of my mouth may be nonsensical, or it's at least a little dorky. Somebody brought up like two words in a group that I'm in. They were sharing an Instagram post that they did, and it triggered the Bible researcher geek in me, and I was like, oh, hey, you said you didn't know what this word means. Let me expound on what this word is. I sent them like 10 paragraphs. It's really easy to be able to put that stuff in together succinctly now, because, different AIs can give you all the info and be like, and if you know your stuff, then, which you do need to when you're dealing with AI, or else you will start spouting off things that are absolutely not true. They just were an input that came from somebody else who didn't know what they were talking about. There's ditches on both sides of the road. Just be you. Just spew you. That should be my bumper sticker. Just spew you. Sounds disgusting, but you are absolutely safe enough to speak. We've got the Visibility Amplifier community that we put together. you can come and join us, visibilityamplifier.com. We set it up on purpose to be a safe place for you to practice. And we've got things that are set up for us to be able to work with you, help you get your clarity, put together your systems, all those kind of things, and use that free community as your test pilot, if you will, as your safe space to be able to speak and say the thing. We did that for you on purpose because we know that until you get to a certain level, you're not just going to do like Steve does and just turn on live stream and talk for 30, 40 minutes, because you're going to keep second guessing yourself. And I'm just at a place where it's just like, whatever. I'm just going to put it out there. Some will, some won't. So what? Next. I'm just filling the space that only I can fill. And I want you to fill the space that only you can fill. So if you're ready to practice that safe visibility, if you're ready to be bold and brave enough to do like we were talking about yesterday and drill down to what's really behind it and how can that serve somebody else, and then practice really saving it, maybe I'm going to give you a bonus if you come join us. You can get my Safe Start script. It's just little, little starters that you can be like, say this. Like, the other day we were talking about going, hey, did you know you're awesome? I would really like to tell you 5 things that I know are totally cool about you. That would be a Safe Start script. You could go do it live right now. Make a note to yourself what the 5 things that the person that you know you'd love to deal with is, 5 things that are totally cool about that person. Okay? Now, if you don't know who that person is, again, that's programs that I've got that I can help you with. But, you write down those 5 things and you just pick up your phone. Here's my phone. It's been squawking at us the whole time like it does. Hi, my name is. Did you know you're totally awesome? I just really want to tell you that I really appreciate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 about you. And we do that, and we just send it out to our people. And those 5 things, if you did that and you didn't expound on them, you just said them just matter-of-factly. I dig that you like peanut butter, but you hate jelly. I dig that you only ever eat wheat bread, never white, and it's always homemade. I dig that you think every time you have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or a peanut butter sandwich with no jelly, that you should have Cheetos with it. I dig that you only drink classic Coke, and you think that the worst thing that Coca-Cola Company ever did was to make new Coke for the couple of years. Again, those of you that weren't alive in the mid 80s, you have no idea what I'm talking about. And I dig that you're, old enough that you understand what I mean when I talk about classic Coke. Okay? Those are about the 5 most nonsensical things that just popped into my crazy brain. And it took me 20, 30 seconds maybe to say all 5 of those. Maybe I went a whole minute because I was trying to kind of think of them as I was saying them too. It does sound like an awesome weekly challenge, doesn't it? Let's talk about that later, Patricia. Let's talk about how we can put together and get people to join, because, a weekly challenge is no fun if nobody does it. In Visibility Amplifier. So visibilityamplifier.com, come join the community. We're going to every week do this fun weekly challenge. Patricia and I are going to put it together. Okay? That'll be fun. We'll do that. And every week, we're going to encourage you to come out and do that thing and say the 5 things. And they could be the same 5 things, next week as it was this week. And you're going to get to know the people better. You're going to be like, hey, you know what I really dig about my people? I dig that I found out that they secretly are actually sneaking jelly into their peanut butter sandwiches. I didn't even know. I was admiring that they liked their peanut butter without jelly. Turns out they didn't want the world to know that they used jelly on their peanut butter sandwiches. Or we could do it once a month and do it as a 5-day challenge. Yeah, let's talk more about that one. Let's put that together. We're going to do that for you. But you're going to have to come and join us, visibilityamplifier.com. We'll give you the Safe Start scripts. We'll do some fun things. We've got so many cool things. We just need you. You need to come join us. Because today is the day for you to be safe enough to speak and brave enough to be seen. And we've created a safe space for you so you can do that. You can do it right now, wherever you are, whatever kind of stuff has happened in your life. We've got the safe space for you. You just need to, weekly on Friday, 5-day, 5th day. Okay, we'll play around with it. We'll make it work. Okay. Come join us. Let us help you be safe enough to speak and brave enough to be seen. Good luck with your packing, Patricia. Good luck, everybody else, as you start into your Labor Day weekend. I'm going to be here every single one of the days. We're going to have a little bit of a challenge on Tuesday because my mom has a procedure that she's going to be having on Tuesday. But I'll come on live, even if it's just, and even if it isn't at noon, even if it's just me doing, hey, you know what I'm going to do today? I'm going to show you exactly this thing that I talk about with the phone. And what I want to tell you today is you are absolutely incredible. And that may exactly be what, and you'll be like, oh my gosh, Steve did a less than 30-minute, less than 45-minute live stream today. It was so cool. I don't know what to do with myself. I think I'm in shock. It happens. I believe in you. I see you. I know how incredibly cool you are. I hope that today finds you happy, safe, warm, and loved. And I hope that you'll come back tomorrow when we're going to talk about this is what happens when you start using your voice. Let's look a little bit at all the really cool things that happen when you do actually start using your voice. If you're away with family and stuff over this Labor Day weekend, have a great weekend. If you get time, I would love for you to come and join me. Either way, I really appreciate you. Do come join us in Visibility Amplifier community. That's visibilityamplifier.com. And until we're together again next time, I hope you have a great, great week.